There's a big difference between the buyer and the seller. And it's great to know that you can specialize in both, right? So when it comes to a buyer, quite frankly, there's so many tools available to the general public. They're already online doing what I did in the evenings after a long day, but they're looking at houses and they have this, this image of what they can do. So I refine that process. That dream is brought together by way of putting them in touch with the proper mortgage people, and then going out and taking a look at the houses that they've chosen. Sometimes I'll have the good fortune of finding a house for them, but more than likely, they know what they're looking for. I can open the doors with them, but I dig deep in understanding the home. I'm looking at the foundation, I'm looking at the roof, I'm looking at the plumbing, I'm looking at the electrical box. I'm there to make sure that they're in safe harbor, making sure that that the house that they're buying is not a money pit. So in a transition of buying a house, I have these sellers that just don't know what to do. Again, they're overwhelmed with all the personal aspects of dealing with mom and dad or the estate. I can come in there and I can make a quick evaluation, give them some sort of a budget to work with, do the estate sale, clean out the house, make sure that all of the features about the home become attractive, and having the ability to go on the market quickly and effectively. So that family now is like paying close attention to what's going on in their personal life while I take over and I do business on their behalf.
One of the biggest challenges that any of my clients would face, whether it's in Spanish or in English, is that the financial literacy, the financial education of what's available out there as far as financing to get their home. They think there's just one option. You go to the bank and you get lending. There isn't. There is many options for you to get financing, from hard money lending to just, getting your loans from the bank. The sellers can even finance your property. So just navigating the options and availabilities of what's out there for them. Whether you speak English or Spanish, I'm very fluent in both languages, so I can easily help you.
There's always something new to learn. I think some of the biggest challenges my clients face are being overwhelmed with all the information that's available at our fingertips today. It's very easy to feel overwhelmed, and my whole job is to bring clarity. Kind of treat it like that. Every client is different. They're all gonna have their own challenges, and you gotta navigate through that challenge and do your best to help you close the deal and make the client happy.
I think some challenges that a lot of clients face, or anyone when they're going to, purchase a home, is they can't see past certain things. You can go in and you could look at something and think like, oh, well, there's this, and this, and really being able to break down of what can be changed and what can't be changed in a home. Like someone can go into a house and they, open the doors and say, wow, this is beautiful, it's perfect. Okay, well, we have to look beyond that. What does your neighbor's house look like? How close is the closest store? We could take the ugly house in the beautiful neighborhood and make it beautiful, but we can't take the beautiful house in the ugly neighborhood and change the neighborhood.
Challenges today seem to change daily, weekly, monthly. So as an agent, we have to continually reassess our strategies to work and reassess our procedures on kind of what works today.
Every client has different challenges. And one of my clients, she had recently lost her husband. I had helped them purchase that home together. So when he passed, she was relocating to be closer to family, and she called me, and that was a hard one because it was the last place she saw her husband. So it was hard for her to grasp moving. I think that home ownership, whether you're buying or selling, can be super stressful and scary in the unknown. You're trusting a lot of people. You're trusting the buyers, the sellers, your agent. For me, I feel like I guide them to make sure that they're staying on track with what they want, where they're going, what they want in a potential home, and just reminding them of their wants and needs in this next move.
Right now, the biggest challenge I'm running into is affordability. And we gotta take a look at the whole transaction and what the future's gonna be, comparing what they're paying in rent and how much they can buy with what money they have or what their income is. And sometimes we gotta look outside the box. For my sellers, I have an imaginary toolbox I always use. So when I walk into their house, they have a vision of what they think it's worth. And with little tweaking and staging, I can show them, look, we're gonna do a blowout open house. Let's really make this really excellent. And one thing I pulled from being in this market is having a home inspection done before we put the house on the market. So you alleviate all the troubles down the road when we do get that right offer in and it goes under contract and closes.
I think the biggest challenge that my clients face is hands down stress. You know, there's so much to do when it comes to buying or selling a home, and people tend to get decision paralysis and they don't know where to start. I basically come in and I take care of everything. You know, I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna show you what step to take next, and, you know, helping clean the house, doing anything that needs to be done.
I think one of the biggest challenges for clients, especially if they're a new home buyer, is putting it all together. When they are talking with the lender, they're expecting or they're having some trouble understanding the whole process and how it's going to end up. And basically my job is to connect the dots for them. I'm trying to basically steer the waters for them so they don't ever have to feel that. And hopefully I'm like an agent with a life buoy to help them steer clear of being apprehensive or having buyer's remorse.
I think the biggest challenge most people face is mixing their budget with the reality of what they can afford. And people look at houses all the time and say, oh, this would be a great house. But when it comes to some of the budgets, they can't always afford what they really want. So just helping them with the market and showing them areas that perhaps work best for them and help guide them through the process.
The biggest challenges of first-time buyer, they don't know how to start the process. So having a little bit of experience about being a loan officer in 2005 and 6, you got to explain them the process from A to Z. That's one of the biggest challenges. So as a real estate agent, our responsibility is to take them out of that hole, to explain to them the process from A to Z, how they can become homeowners. Now, because I'm a homeowner, I know the process, I have the experience, and I believe that the challenges, they kind of fade away as long as you start teaching them and showing them the process. And you just got to build some trust with them as well.
I would say that the biggest challenge that my clients face is misinformation. Our brokerage, we have a home search app to help you in your home search journey. And it's kind of like Pinterest and Zillow had a baby, so it's pretty cool. We also have a buyer's and seller's guide with a ton of different vendors in there, anybody you can think of, from flooring to moving, electrical. And I also have published my own books for buyers, sellers, inheritance, for sale by owners. So I am just a wealth of knowledge to try to keep them in the know. And of course, I'm only a phone call away.